Welcome back to another Pokemon Throwback Thursday, where every Thursday morning we take a deep dive into a new set. We are going in complete order, so the set we're checking out today is Crimson Invasion, and then of course we're going to be highlighting a certain Pokemon and checking their best cards in Pokemon history, and for today's videos that is going to be Magikarp. And we are going to do a little giveaway today. All you have to do is make sure you subscribe, you got to hit that notification bell, you got to hit that like, and then you have to answer the question of the day. So for today's question, do you guys think Magikarp should have had a middle evolution? If so, what do you think it should have been called, and what do you think it should have looked like? And these are the cards we're giving away today. We got a Shadowless Charmander and a Shadowless Charmeleon. And I do have to announce the winner from last Thursday's giveaway, and it is at Bryce Brinston. So just shoot me an email or hit me up on Instagram. I'll get those cards sent out to you. And we do have to give a big thanks to our video sponsor real quick, and that is Punch-Out Gaming. Punch-Out Gaming is my local game store that I go to in Minnesota, and it's the #1 game store in all of Minnesota. I've actually been to them all, and they're only located 30 minutes north of the Twin Cities. So if you guys are ever in Minnesota, definitely swing by, check them out. They have so much variety, you will not be disappointed. Then, of course, if you're going to grade through PSA for your first time, you can click my link in the description, use the code BEARD25 and get $25 off your first submission, which is basically a free graded card. And, of course, the binder-bound hoodie and t-shirt are almost sold out, so check those out. All right, here's Sun and Moon Crimson Invasion. Set came out November 3rd, 2017. 111 cards plus 13 secret rares. Honestly, there's not a ton in this set. You basically just got the Gyarados and a couple nice trainers, and then it's just basically some rainbows, and not even of like the most popular Pokemon. But the big card is the Rainbow Gyarados GX at $50. Then we got the Lucamine full art at $38, and then the full art Gyarados. So very, very small. So here's the full art Olivia Trainer. Last sold in a PSA 10, $120 with a pop of 511. PSA 9, there's 423 of them. Last sold $20, and it's a $10 raw card. Next, we got the Lucamine. This has a PSA pop of 447, PSA 9 pop of 680. We got a PSA 10 sale at $215 and a PSA 9 at $48. And raw, this is a $40 to $55 card. Next, we got the full art Gyarados. This is just the blue full art. Pop of 329 and a 10, 406 and a 9. Last sold in a 10 is $233. Raw, it's about a $15 to $25 card. PSA 9, it's like $40. Next, the big boy, the Rainbow Gyarados GX. This has a pop of 588 in a 10 and 691 in a 9. And last sold in a 10 is $294. That is quite the drop from the $400 it was before. Because, yeah, we got a sale of 510, 305. And raw, you know, it's going to be a $40 to $55 card. Next, we have the Crimson Invasion Booster Pack. This was a $14 pack. We got a couple sales at about $11, but most of the sales are still at about $13, $14, $15. Next, the Crimson Invasion ETB. This was at $170. Now that sold $159, $158. This is one of the cheapest sets in the Sun and Moon era. Next, we have the Booster Box. Last sold for this $460, $484, $459, $475. All right, let's get into some Magikarps here. Obviously, we have the Illustration Rare, one of the best cards in the Scarlet and Violet era. And if you guys did not know, there's a Gyarados in the top of the card. A lot of people do miss that. And it is done by Shinji Kanda, one of the most popular artists in the world. This card is very tough to grade. There's 3,700 of them in a 10, and about 11,000 in a 9, and 5,000 in an 8. Did get all the way up to about $2,500 in a 10. Now last sold $1,925. So it's a decent little drop for sure. And then raw, we got sales at $250, $240, $214, $225. This card was selling for $400 raw. And you can get PSA 9s for $290, $315, $309. So that is a nice little drop. This would probably be a very decent time to pick up that Magikarp. Next, we have the Big Boy Tag Team. So this is the textured alternate art, Magikarp and Wailord. This card is not super tough to grade. 1,879 in the 10, 920 in the 9. There's just not a ton of them out there. And in the 10, it was at about $3,000. Got down to about $1,800. Now last sold $2,200. $2,000, $1,950, and then raw, this card's very expensive, $750. We got one sale here at $392, $510, $750, $200, $615. It's kind of all over the place. Next, we have the other Magikarp and Wailord Tag Team alternate art. There's absolutely no information on this card in a PSA 10. Couldn't find any recent sales or anything. Last sold raw, $31, $31, $58, $75, $40. And PSA 9 at $599. Next, we have the Magikarp and Wailord GX Tag Team. Nice blue background. 633 in a 10, 337 in a 9. Last sold in a 10, 380. Last sold in a 9, 118. And before that, 89. And raw, 75, 115, 50, 90, 65. Next, we have the Rainbow Magikarp and Wailord GX Tag Team. This is a pop of 512 in a 10, 443 in a 9. Last sold raw, 74, 110, 70, PSA 10 at 470, and a PSA 9 at 99 and 93. Next, we have a Magikarp from Fire Red and Leaf Green. Beautiful reverse holo. It says a pop of 17 in a 10. It says the last sale was 455 and 80 in a PSA 9. And last sold raw 19, 24, 30, 50. PSA 9 sold for 86. And we do have a new PSA 10 sale. It was $1,515, which is just crazy. Next, we got the Magikarp from EX Holland Phantoms. Beautiful reverse holo Delta species. This is a pop of 31 in a 10 and 60 in a 9. Last sold in a 10 is 610. And raw, 29, 28, 14, 35, and a PSA 9 at 150. Next, we have another reverse holo Magikarp from EX Team Rocket Returns. This is a pop of 10 in a 10, 127 in a 9. Last sold in a 10 is 1,550. Everything from this set, EX Team Rocket Returns, is expensive. Everything. Basically every single card. And last sold raw, 20, 90, 100, 80, 85. $20, that's going to be absolutely damaged. Very expensive. Next, we have another reverse holo, the Magikarp from EX Deoxys. Love this one. Super cool background. Has a pop of 46 in a 10, 122 in a 9. Last sold in a 10 is $600. Last sold in a 9 is 81. And then raw, 35, 40, 26, 16, 35. Next, we have the Toys R Us Magikarp card. We don't have a PSA 10 pop, but last sold says 129. And then raw, 25, 15, 30. This card does not come up very often in a 10. Next, we have the e-reader cards. So we got one from Skyridge and one from Expedition. This is a reverse holo from Skyridge with a pop of 47 in a 10, 79 in a 9. Last sold in a 10, 1310, 810. Another one here at 445, which was about 9 months ago, so that's quite the jump. And we got a PSA 9 at 198. And then raw, 99, 130, 175, 88. And then here's the Expedition one, which I like a lot more. I like how there's actually other Pokemon in the background too. This is a pop of 23 in a 10, 90 in a 9. Last sold in a 10, $1,100. And last sold in a 9, 202. And then raw, 66, 31, 97, 88. Next, we have the shiny Magikarp. This is a Black Star promo from X and Y. We do not have a ton of shiny Magikarps, so this card is pretty special. It says a pop of 556 in a 10 and 2,400 in a 9, so pretty tough to grade also. Last sold raw, 60, 40, 100. We got a PSA 9 at 100, another one at 125, and we do have a recent PSA 10 sale at 770. It sold for $1,100 before that, and 930 before that. Next, we have the Shining Magikarp from Celebrations. So easy to grade, 7,700 in a 10, 3,100 in a 9. Last sold in a 10, all between 108 to about 120. And raw, this is about a $30 card. Next, we have the OG Shiny Magikarp. This is the Unlimited, but the Unlimited actually has a lower pop in a 10 than the first edition. But there's a lot less first editions graded. It's kind of funny. That happens with a ton of Unlimited cards. So there's only 66 10s in the world for this Shining Magikarp, and 867 9s, 1,300 8s, 1,100 7s, 900 6s, 600 5s. So, I mean, there's more 2s than there is 10s for this card. And last sold raw, 250 creased, otherwise 280, 450, 363, 100, 392. We got a PSA 9 at 920, and we got a PSA 10 sale here at $3,621. Before that, it was at $5,350. Next, we have the first edition Shiny Magikarp with a pop of 126 and a 10, so almost double. And there's only 704 9s, 447 8s, so way less graded. And we do have a PSA 10 sale at $6,651. And last sold raw, 700, 475, 500. We got a PSA 9 at 1,500, 1,775, 1,450, 1,700. Next, we have a couple of the OG first edition common Magikarps. We have the Giovanni's Magikarp from Gym Challenge. It says a pop of 259 and a 10, 354 and a 9. Last sold raw 8, 12, PSA 9 at 42, and we got a PSA 10 sale at 315. And remember, any set that has a first edition stamp on it, there is also an unlimited version, at least for English. Next, we have the Misty's Magikarp. These cards are all honestly pretty similar. 244 and a 10, 380 and a 9. Last sold in a 10, 280. Last sold in a 9, 60. And raw, this one's a little more expensive, like a $10 to $20 card. And then we also have the first edition Magikarp from Team Rocket. This has the lowest pop of the three, 212 and a 10, 663 and a 9. Last sold raw, it's like a $5 card. And we got a PSA 10 sale at 287 and a PSA 9 at 40. So no joke, all three are almost the exact same price. Next, we have the OG art, but this is the Legendary Collection Reverse Holo. This is a pop of 27 and a 10, 148 and a 9. Last sold raw, 180, 152, 170. I remember when this card was like 15 bucks. And then we have a PSA 9 at 990, and the last PSA 10 sale is 2,500. Next, we have the base set 2 Magikarp. It says a pop of 53 and a 10 with the last sale at $65. And raw, it's literally a $1 card. Next, we have the unlimited base set Magikarp with a pop of 404 and a 10. Last sold at $199. And then last sold raw, $2-3, and a 9 is like 40 bucks. Next, we have the Shadowless Magikarp. I love the Shadowless and first edition Shadowless so much more than the Unlimited. I mean, just look at the color on this Magikarp in the background between the Unlimited and the Shadowless. I mean, Magikarp is actually kind of red in this card, and it just looks so washed out with the Unlimited. I just like it so much more. But this has a pop of 239 and 10 with last sold at 280, which I feel like is pretty undervalued compared to the Unlimited. And then raw, this is more like a $5-10 card. Now we have the OG, the first edition Shadowless base set Magikarp. This has a pop of 261 and a 10, 715 and a 9. Last sold raw, 145, 158. We got a 9 at 350, another one at 310. And then we have a PSA 10 sale here at $1,715. Sold for $2,400 before that. Now we are jumping to some Japanese exclusives here. So here's the 25th anniversary Shiny Magikarp. You know, instead of our Celebrations one, they got this one. It looks super nice. The gold border is crazy. The 25th stamp's pretty nice. But last sold in a 10, 130, 170, 160. So pretty cool. Very easy to grade though. There's 17,000 10s, 929s. That's pretty much like a guaranteed Gem 10 rate. Next, we have this black and white promo. I could not find this for English. I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is a Japanese exclusive. Last sold 50, 29, 40. We got a PSA 10 at 161. This is a pop of 90. Next, we have the Japanese 151 Master Ball. This has a pop of 2,140 and a 10, 222 and a 9. Last sold raw 30, 15, 40. We got a PSA 10 at 94 and 80. And last on the list, we have the most expensive card. This is the Japanese Poncho Magikarp Pikachu. This thing is crazy. 2,100 and a 10, 344 and a 9. It's got up to about $7,700 and dropped down to about 62. Now last sold 74, 74, 78, 62. That was last month when it dropped down. So yeah, the last three sales are all in about mid 7,000. And raw, 2,300, 2,900. This card does not come up very often raw because this card actually gets faked a ton. So be super careful about buying these raw because this is just such an expensive card and it's pretty easy to grade in the 10. So basically everybody gets it graded. But all right, that was today's Pokemon Throwback Thursday. If you guys want to stay ahead of the market and you guys enjoy this content, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a like and comment. If you guys want to support more, you guys can check out my Instagram, my TikTok, Facebook, YouTube membership, all that. You guys know what to do. But all right, I want you guys to have a great day. And if you guys want to watch my last Pokemon What If Wednesday, which was a super good one, someone commented that they were pretty much addicted to opening packs and they couldn't stop and they needed help. So we talk about that. So click this video here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.